that this new covenant and the grace of God and the indwelling Christ is bigger than any of us is ever going to be able to comprehend. God speaks to us in language through the Holy Spirit and his written word that we can believe. I can believe that I am in union with God, 1 Corinthians 6:17. I can believe that he is my everything. He is my life. Those are stated facts in the New Testament, that Christ is my all in all. But how does a finite creature get filled with an infinite God? How does that happen? I don't think it can. And I have biblical proof for that, I think. If we go to Ephesians 1, Ephesians is a treasure chest of the New Testament. Verses 3 through 14, he tells us how we're blessed with every spiritual blessing in the heavenlies. Lists a bunch of the blessings. At the end, he says, we've been given the Holy Spirit, listen to the language, as a down payment of our inheritance. Now, the Holy Spirit is God. So if we've been given God, how can he be a down payment of more to come? See, the language there gives us a clue. We're never going to exhaust God, ever. I like to say that we became eternal students the moment we got saved. Anybody comes to me and says to me, boy, I'm really understanding grace. I say, really, where's your spouse? I'd like to talk to him. And you should see him backtrack. I think we all have that kind of attitude. So even though I'm filled with God, I'm never really able to lay hold of that. And so I'm constantly experiencing more and more of the one who is my everything. And so I think there's this ethic, and I don't like to use that term normally, but because it's a Christian life, it's a Christ life, but there's this ethic, I think, that's spoken of in the New Testament that we do receive and give to each other. In Romans 1, Paul said, I can't wait to get to Rome and share the gospel with you. But then he added these words, and receive from you. That's fascinating to me. I look at Philippians 2, where he basically says in the first 4 verses, if there's any consolation of grace, any tender mercy of the Holy Spirit, any fellowship of the Spirit, basically what he's saying there is if you understand Christianity at all, then let there be. And then he goes on to talk about not looking on your own interest, but on the interests of others, meeting the needs of others. And then he goes on into Jesus as an example, and how he, though being God, which means basically like this question is asking, I've got all I need, I've got everything. But what does he do? He lays down his life to serve others. So this whole thing is about love. So why do you need the church? You need them for you to be able to express love to them. They're going to experience more of Jesus as they experience him through you. And then you're going to be experiencing more of Jesus as you receive the living Christ through them. Because there's no way any of us ever fully is going to get it. Not only are we eternal students, we're eternally in awe and wonder as we grow in our comprehension of what this incredible thing is all about, that we get to be in union with God. Mind-boggling. There was the second half of the question. I don't know, does that satisfy? Do you have any thoughts you want to add, Ross? Because you're a great student of the Bible here.
No, I say it's similar to you. I say that how can a finite being understand an infinite God? Mm-hmm. That God is bigger than the lump of mass between your 2 ears. Right. And so the only hope I have of knowing God is to know Christ and Frank. And knowing Christ and Frank, and I get to know Christ and Robin and Christ and Lisa and all these other people. And it starts to create a mosaic for who Jesus really is. And even then, we're just scratching the surface.
Right. That's a
And
good
so,
word. Good word.
yeah. So
I use the word kaleidoscope. If you've ever
that's
looked
what
at a
your
kaleidoscope.
child of the 60s.
Yeah, but each person gets to play a part of that kaleidoscope. And here's the glory in that, Ross. God is invisible. We know that. He's a spirit, John 4:24. But as he lives his life through our physical being, and we do this corporately, we become the visible expression to the physical world of who God is. So when we function with each one playing their part in that kaleidoscope, or what did you call it?
Mosaic.
Mosaic. The unbelieving world can look at the church and go, wow, so that's what God is like. And so we get to play a part in that. And that's why, there's a great thought. This just popped in my brain. But in 1 Corinthians, Paul uses the term two different ways. He says, you, Ross, are the temple of God. You, Viarda, are the temple of God. But then later he says it, y'all are the temple of God. So we're the temple of God individually, but we're the temple of God corporately. So that's huge. Yeah. My wife did an amazing job raising our children. When she would wake them up on a Sunday morning, she didn't say to them, come on, we have to go to church. She would wake them up and say, we get to go to church today. So she tried to instill into their little mind and heart the privilege that we have to be a part of this thing that God is doing. And so it's just huge. Now, the second half of that statement said, depending on people. We don't ever depend on people. We depend upon God. The way I would illustrate it is like I need to be loved, okay? But I have to look to God for that love. Now, I married Janet. So is it okay for me to go, hey, baby, would you mind hugging me once or twice a day? Nothing wrong with that at all. She can be the visible expression of the love of God, but I can't expect it or demand it from her. If I expect or demand, it's going to slip into control and manipulation, which has nothing to do with ministry. So at that point, as I share with her, then I have to go to God and say, Father, would you please instill in her a desire to hug me? My love language is touch. But you see what I'm saying? So we look to God. We can ask of people and share with people, but they're never the source. So I could take it one step further. So I need to be loved, and I come home and I go, hey, baby. And she goes, hey, you're home, and comes up and looks. I said, oh, God, this is so cool. So the next day I come home and I go, hey, baby. And she goes, get out of my face. And I said, oh, okay. Where's it coming from, God? And here come the kids. Dad's home. I go, oh, there it is. And then I come home the next time. I go, hey, baby. And she goes, get out of my face. I go to the kids. I say, hey, babies. And they go, we're busy, Dad. Okay. And here comes the dog. There it is. We get it from the world we live in, but our source is always God. You want to add anything to that?
Yeah, no, I love how you put it there. I say people are the vessels that God uses. Mm-hmm. And I personally think it's a very ineffective way, mm-hmm. right? Because I think you can do a far better job without the middleman. Mm-hmm. But the glory of God is he loves to involve people. Yeah. So when Janet gets to love you and she's being the vessel for that, not only do you benefit from it, but she does too, because she was a part of what God was doing. And so he's spreading it around, and the more the merrier.
That's right. Yeah, he loves the privilege. It's a privilege of letting us participate in what he's doing. And by the way, Janet never says, get out of my face. She says other things, but never get out of my face.